"You're fired! Get out of my house!" the billionaire's wife screamed at Maya. The black maid walked out into the pouring rain with nowhere to go. Then she heard crying. In an alley, 3 small children huddled together, soaking wet. "Please help us. The mean lady left us here." Maya took off her coat and wrapped them up. She had nothing, but she took them home. The next morning, police sirens. A frantic billionaire burst through her door. "My children!" He froze when he saw Maya. "Wait, you're the maid my wife fired yesterday?" His face went pale. "She told me the children were kidnapped. She's the one who abandoned them. But before we dive into the full story, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is. Now, subscribe to the channel, and let's get started." "You took it. I know you did." The voice was sharp, like ice breaking. Maya Flores froze, her hand on the handle of the vacuum cleaner. She turned slowly from the spotless floor of the grand hallway. Evelyn Sterling stood at the other end of the long, shiny floor. Her blonde hair was perfect. Her red dress looked like it cost more than Maya's whole apartment. Her arms were crossed tight over her chest. Her face was tight with anger. "Mrs. Sterling?" Maya's voice was soft, almost a whisper in the huge space. "Do not play innocent with me," Evelyn said. She walked closer, her high heels clicking on the white marble. Each click sounded like a warning. "My diamond bracelet, the one from Paris. It is gone from my jewelry box. You were the only one in my room today." Maya felt her heart beat fast in her chest. She had cleaned the master bedroom that morning, like she did every Tuesday. She had dusted the large dresser. She had not opened any boxes. "I did not take anything, Mrs. Sterling," Maya said, keeping her voice respectful. "I would never." "You would never?" Evelyn laughed, but it was not a happy sound. It was cold. "A maid with your debts? Sending money to who knows where? I know your type. You see pretty things and your fingers get sticky." Maya's face felt hot. She thought of the money she sent each month to her 2 younger sisters in Manila. It was not a secret. It was her duty. It was not a reason to steal. "I have worked for you for 2 years, Maya said, her hands beginning to shake. She held them together. "I have never touched anything that was not mine to clean." "Well, you touched it today," Evelyn snapped. She was right in front of Maya now. Maya could smell her strong floral perfume. "I want you out of my house. Now! You are fired!" The words hit Maya like a physical blow. She needed this job. It was her only job. "Please, Mrs. Sterling," Maya whispered, "let us check again. Maybe the bracelet is somewhere else." "It is not somewhere else!" Evelyn shouted. The sound echoed off the high ceiling. "It is in your pocket or in your ugly bag. But I will not waste my time." "Security!" Maya's eyes stung with tears. She blinked them back. She would not cry in front of this woman. 2 large men in dark uniforms walked into the hallway. They were the house security. They looked at Evelyn, then at Maya. "This woman is fired for theft," Evelyn said, pointing at Maya. "Escort her from the property. Do not let her take anything but her own coat. Check her bag if you must." The taller guard, a man named Joe, nodded. He looked at Maya with a blank face. "Come with us, ma'am." "My last paycheck," Maya said quickly, her voice trembling. "It is Friday. Today is Tuesday. I have worked this week." Evelyn waved a hand, as if shooing away a fly. "You forfeit your pay when you steal from me. Consider yourself lucky I am not calling the police. Now get out before I change my mind." The guards stepped closer. Maya looked down. There was nothing more to say. She walked quietly between them, down the long hallway, past the beautiful art she had dusted, out the giant front door. They did not let her go to the staff room to get her things. Joe fetched her old coat and her small worn bag from her locker. He handed them to her outside the front door. "You should leave the property now," he said, his voice not unkind but firm. Maya nodded. She put on her coat. She walked down the long, curved driveway, away from the huge Buckhead mansion. The sky above Atlanta was a dull, dark gray. The air felt heavy and cold. She reached the bus stop on the main road. She sat on the wet bench. She counted the money in her wallet. She had $10.75. Her rent was due in 1 week. She had sent most of her last paycheck to her sisters already. A deep rumble of thunder rolled across the sky. Then the rain began. It did not start slowly. It fell all at once, heavy and cold. Maya had no umbrella. In minutes, her coat was soaked through. Her hair, usually in a neat braid, stuck to her face and neck. The bus was late. She stood up, hoping to see the bus coming. She saw only sheets of rain and the blurry red lights of cars. The wind blew harder, pushing the rain sideways. She was shivering. Then she heard another sound. It was not the thunder. It was not the rain hitting the pavement. It was crying. It was a small, high sound. It came from the dark alley between two closed clothing boutiques across the street. The fancy shops had big windows with empty dressed mannequins. Maya listened. The crying came again. It was the sound of more than one child. It was scared and sad and lost. She looked at the bus stop shelter. She looked at the dark alley. The rain poured down. She crossed the street, her shoes filling with water. She walked into the alley. It was dark and smelled of wet trash. In a shallow doorway, huddled together, were 3 small children. They were soaking wet. Their clothes, which looked expensive but were now ruined, stuck to their tiny bodies. 2 little girls and a little boy. The oldest girl had her arms around the other 2. She was trying to be brave, but her face was streaked with tears and rain. They all looked up as Maya approached. Their eyes were huge with fear. "Hello?" Maya said, her voice soft. She knelt down in the wet alley, not caring about the puddles. "What are you doing here? Where is your mommy or daddy?" The oldest girl, who looked about 7, sniffed. A pretty mean lady brought us here. In a big black car. She told us to wait right here, and she would come back with ice cream." The little boy, who was maybe 5, coughed. It was a wet, shaky cough. "But she didn't come back," he whispered. The smallest girl, no more than 4, just sobbed. Maya's heart broke into 1,000 pieces. She looked around the alley. No one else was there. The pretty mean lady had left them. In this storm. "What are your names?" Maya asked. "I'm Chloe," the oldest girl said, and she pointed. "That's my brother, Oliver, and my sister, Sophie." Oliver coughed again, a rattling sound deep in his small chest. He shivered violently. They could not stay here. They would get terribly sick, or something worse. Maya thought of her tiny apartment. It was one small room with a bed, a table, and a stove. She had almost no food. She had $10.75. She thought of calling the police. But she was a fired maid, alone in a storm with 3 rich children. How would that look? But looking at Oliver's pale face, at Sophie's trembling lips, at Chloe's brave, terrified eyes, she could not think about herself. She made a decision. She stood up and held out her hands. "My name is Maya. You cannot stay here. You are too cold. Come with me. I will take you somewhere dry and warm." Chloe looked at her, unsure. The mean lady said to wait. "I think the mean lady is not coming back," Maya said gently. "And you are too cold to wait anymore. Please, let me help you." Slowly, Chloe took her hand. Oliver took the other. Sophie stood up and held onto Chloe's coat. Maya led them out of the alley. She had missed her bus. Her apartment was 20 blocks away. They would have to walk. She took off her own soaked coat and wrapped it around the three of them as best she could. It was not much. "We are going to my home," she said, her voice strong now. "It is small, but it is dry. I will make you some soup, okay?" Chloe nodded. Oliver coughed. Sophie just held on. Holding their small, cold hands, Maya walked away from the alley full of shadows and towards the distant, dim light of her street, not knowing their arrival would shatter a powerful family's world. The rain had not stopped by the time Maya reached her building. She led the three children up the 2 flights of stairs to her apartment. Her keys were cold and wet in her hand. She unlocked the door and pushed it open. "Here it is," she said, her voice tired but warm. "It is not very big, but it is dry." The children stood in a small group just inside the door, dripping water onto the clean floor. They looked around the single room. There was a small bed in one corner, a table with 2 chairs, a tiny kitchen area with a stove and a half-sized refrigerator. It was all very neat and very small. Chloe was the first to speak. "It's warm," Maya smiled. "Yes, the heat works well. That is the first thing." She moved quickly. She went to her small closet and pulled out every towel she owned. There were 3 bath towels and 2 smaller hand towels. "We need to get you dry. Can you take off your wet coats and shoes?" The children were slow to move, their fingers stiff with cold. Maya helped them. She knelt and untied Oliver's small, expensive-looking sneakers. His socks were soaked. She wrapped a big towel around his small shoulders. She did the same for Sophie, who was so small the towel dragged on the floor. She gave Chloe a towel to hold around herself. "Now, do you have dry clothes in your backpacks?" Maya asked. She had noticed each child had a small backpack. Chloe shook her head. "The mean lady said we did not need them. She said it was just for ice cream." Maya's heart sank. She opened her own dresser. She did not have children's clothes. She found her softest t-shirt. It was big and gray. She found a pair of sweatpants she could tie very tight. She found an old, clean nightshirt. "These will be like big pajamas," she said, trying to sound cheerful. "They will be warm." She helped the children change. Oliver wore the sweatpants and t-shirt, which swallowed him. Sophie was lost inside the nightshirt. Chloe put on a pair of Maya's leggings and a long sweater. They looked small and lost in the adult clothes, but their shivering began to slow. "Now, sit on the bed," Maya said. She pulled the blanket over their legs. "I will make something warm to drink." She filled her only pot with water and put it on the stove. She opened a can of chicken soup. It was the last can in her cupboard. She heated it up. The smell began to fill the small room. Oliver coughed again. It was a rough, tight sound. "Does your chest hurt, Oliver?" Maya asked, coming over to him. He nodded, his eyes wide. "It feels squished." "Do you have asthma?" Maya asked gently. He nodded again. "I have an inhaler, but it's in my backpack at home." Maya stored that information away. She would need to watch him carefully. She brought 3 bowls of soup to the small table. "Come and eat. It will help." The children climbed off the bed and sat at the table. They ate slowly at first, then faster. They were hungry. "This is good," Chloe said quietly. "Thank you," Maya said. She sat on the bed, watching them. "Can you tell me more about the mean lady? What did she look like?" Chloe thought. "She had yellow hair, like gold, and she smelled strong, like flowers in a store." "She had a big ring," Oliver added between spoonfuls. "It was shiny and blue." "She was pretty," Sophie whispered, "but her mouth was mean." "She told us to get in the car after school," Chloe continued. "She said Daddy was busy and she would take us for a special treat. But then she drove for a long time. She stopped in that alley. She told us to wait right there." She said if we moved, we would not get any ice cream, and Daddy would be very angry. Chloe's lower lip trembled. We waited and waited. Then it started to rain. Maya listened, a cold feeling growing inside her that had nothing to do with the weather. This was not an accident. This was done on purpose. Someone had left these children in a storm. When the bowls were empty, Maya washed them in the small sink. The room was dark now, lit only by the single lamp by her bed. The rain still tapped against the window. "It is time to sleep," Maya said. "You will take the bed." "Where will you sleep?" Chloe asked. "The floor is very comfortable," Maya said. She took her one pillow and the extra blanket from the closet. She spread the blanket on the thin carpet next to the bed. "See? A perfect bed." She helped the 3 children under the covers of her bed. They fit, just barely. Sophie was in the middle, with Oliver and Chloe on either side. "Miss Maya?" Chloe's voice was small in the dark. "Yes, Chloe." "Are you going to call the police?" Maya was quiet for a moment. "In the morning. Tonight you are safe. No one will hurt you here. Go to sleep." She turned off the lamp. The room was dark, except for the faint light from the street lamp outside the window. She lay on the floor, listening to the rhythm of their breathing. She knew she should call someone now, but the thought of police officers shining lights in these scared children's faces tonight felt wrong. They needed one night of peace. She must have fallen asleep. A sound woke her. It was a cough, but it was not a normal cough. It was a desperate, gasping, wheezing sound. Maya sat up quickly. "Oliver?" The little boy was sitting up in bed, his small hands clawing at his own throat. His breath was a high, whistling whine. His eyes were pools of panic in the dim light. "Chloe, turn on the lamp," Maya said, her voice calm but firm. Chloe fumbled and the light clicked on. Oliver's face was pale. He could not get air in. Asthma attack. Maya's mind raced. She had no inhaler. The pharmacy was closed. The hospital was far and she had no car. Then she remembered. Her mother. Her mother had mild asthma years ago. There might be. She went to the small box of her mother's things she kept her on the closet shelf. She opened it. Old papers, a photo, a hairbrush. At the very bottom, her fingers touched plastic. She pulled out an old, unused inhaler. It was probably expired by years, but it was something. She rushed back to Oliver. "Oliver, look at me. This might help. It is like your inhaler. Breathe out as much as you can." The little boy was crying and gasping. He tried. Maya put the inhaler to his lips and pressed the canister. "Now breathe in slowly. Slow." He tried to suck in the medicine. He coughed it out. "Again," Maya said, her voice steady. "We will try again." She held him, one arm around his tiny, heaving chest. She pressed the inhaler again. Slow, slow. This time, he managed a short, wheezing breath in. They waited. The whistling sound was still there. She did it one more time. "Good boy. You are so brave." She held him, rubbing his back in slow circles. "In through your nose, out through your mouth, like this." She breathed loudly and slowly, showing him. He tried to copy her. The terrible tight whistle began to loosen, just a little. For an hour, Maya sat on the edge of the bed, holding Oliver, coaching his breaths. Slowly, slowly, his airways began to open. The panic in his eyes faded into exhaustion. He slumped against her, his breathing still raspy, but deeper. "You are okay," she whispered over and over. "You are safe. I have you." Finally, he fell into a restless sleep, still in her arms. She did not move. She sat there, holding him, watching the slow rise and fall of his chest. Chloe and Sophie had watched, silent and scared. But now, they too slept. Maya did not sleep again that night. When the gray light of morning filled the room, Oliver was breathing easier. Maya carefully laid him down between his sisters. Her body was stiff and tired. She stood up and went to the kitchen. She would make them a good breakfast. Then she would call the police. They would know what to do. She mixed flour and eggs and milk. She cooked pancakes on her small stove, making them small like silver dollars. The smell of warm food filled the room. The children woke up. Oliver looked tired, but he smiled a little when he saw the pancakes. Maya had set the small table with 3 plates. She put out the last of her butter and a tiny bottle of syrup. "Sit, sit," she said. "Eat while they are warm." They ate. Sophie got syrup on her chin. Oliver ate 3 pancakes. Chloe watched Maya with thoughtful eyes. "You stayed up all night," Chloe said. "I had a very good nap," Maya said, smiling. She poured them glasses of milk. This was the last of the milk. As they ate, Maya looked at her phone. She would call in a few minutes. Just let them finish this one warm, happy meal. Then she heard the sounds. Tires screeching on the wet street below. Car doors slamming, not careful but hard and fast. Voices, loud and urgent. Her apartment was on the 3rd floor, but the sounds were so clear. "Stay at the table," Maya said quietly. A cold fear touched her spine. She walked to the window and looked down. There were 2 police cars, their blue and red lights spinning silent circles. And there was a long black car. A very expensive car. A tall man in a dark suit exploded from the back of the black car. He was talking fast to a police officer, pointing up at the buildings. Then he turned and ran towards her building's front door. He knew. Someone knew they were here. Maya's breath caught. Before she could move, before she could think what to do, she heard heavy, running footsteps on the stairs. They were not walking. They were running. Faster and faster. They stopped right outside her door. A loud, powerful bang shook the thin wood. The door lock splintered. The door flew open and smashed against the wall. The tall man stood in the doorway, his hair messy, his tie crooked. His face was wild with panic and fear. His eyes scanned the room. They found the children at the small table. His face broke. A raw, painful sound tore from his throat. "Chloe! Oliver! Sophie!" The 3 children dropped their forks. For a second, there was silence. Then 3 voices cried out at once. "Daddy!" They scrambled from their chairs and ran across the room. The man, their father, fell to his knees and gathered all 3 of them into his arms, holding them so tight as if he would never let go. He buried his face in their hair, his shoulders shaking. Maya stood frozen by the window. She watched them. She saw the man's eyes close, full of tears. She saw the children clinging to him. Then his eyes opened. Over the heads of his children, he looked at her. The relief and joy in his face hardened. It changed into something else, something dark and suspicious. He knew her. She saw the recognition click into place. He gently untangled himself from the children and stood up. He was very tall. He looked from Maya's face to the small apartment, to the pancakes on the table. His voice was low and cold, full of a terrible new fear. "You," he said, "you were my wife's maid. Evelyn fired you yesterday." The man's words hung in the small, warm room, cold and sharp. Maya felt the air leave her lungs. She could only nod, her hands gripping the fabric of her sweater. The children felt the change. Chloe looked from her father's angry face to Maya's scared one. She stepped a little closer to Maya. Oliver and Sophie stayed by their father's legs, confused. "You took them," the man, Michael Sterling, said. The words were not a question. They were an accusation. His blue eyes were like ice. You took my children because she fired you, for revenge. No, Maya whispered. Then she found her voice. No, I found them. Last night. In the alley on Peachtree Street. Near the shops. Do not lie to me. Michael's voice rose, filled with a fury born of fear. My wife told me everything. She saw a woman take them, a stranger. And now you have them here, in your home, the day after you were fired. He took a step forward. Maya did not move, but she felt her body tense. She was not afraid for herself. She was afraid he would take the children, and she would never see them again. She was afraid he would not listen. Please, she said, her voice stronger. Ask them. Ask your children. Michael looked down. Chloe was staring up at him, her small face serious. Oliver was holding onto his father's pants leg, his breathing still a little raspy from the night. Sophie hid her face. Chloe, Michael said, his tone softening just a little for his daughter. Did this woman take you from school? Did she make you come here? Chloe shook her head hard. Her dark hair swung. No, Daddy. The pretty mean lady took us from school. Michael knelt down to her level. A pretty mean lady? What did she look like? She had yellow hair. She had a blue ring. She smelled like flowers, Chloe recited, the same description she gave Maya. That could be anyone, Michael said, but he sounded less sure. He pulled out his phone from his suit pocket. His hands were shaking. Your stepmother. Evelyn. She is so upset. She is at home crying. She saw a woman with dark hair take you. She tried to stop her. He was talking fast, as if trying to make the story fit in his head. He tapped his screen and a picture appeared. It was a beautiful, smiling photo of Evelyn Sterling. We need to call her. She needs to know you are safe. He held the phone out to show Chloe. Chloe looked at the picture. Her eyes got big. She pointed one small finger at the screen. That's her, Daddy. That's the pretty mean lady. The room went completely silent. Michael's hand, holding the phone, dropped to his side. He stared at his daughter. What did you say? That's the lady, Chloe repeated. She told us to get in the car. She drove us to the alley. She told us to wait for ice cream. She never came back. Michael's face lost all its color. He looked like someone had hit him in the stomach. He slowly turned his head to look at Oliver. Oliver? Is that true? Oliver nodded, his eyes wide and solemn. She said you would be angry if we moved. We got very cold. Sophie peeked out from behind Michael's leg. In her tiny, quiet voice, she said, She left us in the rain. Michael Sterling did not make a sound. He slowly sank down until he was sitting on the floor of Maya's apartment. He dropped his phone. It clattered on the wood. He put his head in his hands. His shoulders began to shake. Maya watched, her own fear turning into a deep, aching pity. She could see the moment his world broke apart. His wife had not witnessed a crime. His wife had committed the crime. The children were confused by their father's tears. Chloe went over and put a hand on his arm. Daddy, it's okay. Miss Maya found us. She gave us soup. She helped Oliver breathe. Michael lifted his head. He looked at Chloe, then at Oliver and Sophie. Then his wet, red-rimmed eyes found Maya. The anger was gone. In its place was a horrifying understanding, and a shame so deep it seemed to swallow him. You, he started, but his voice cracked. You found them? In the alley? Yes, Maya said softly. She did not move from her spot. Last night, during the storm, they were very wet and very cold. Oliver had an asthma attack, Chloe said, her voice matter-of-fact. Miss Maya stayed up all night. She had medicine. She helped him. Michael looked at his son. He saw the tired shadows under Oliver's eyes. He reached out and touched Oliver's cheek. You're breathing. It's okay? "It's better now," Oliver said. Michael looked back at Maya. "You had an inhaler?" "It was my mother's. It was old. I did not know if it would work. But it helped a little," Maya said. Her words were simple. She was just telling the truth. A loud knock came at the open broken door. A man in a police uniform stood there. He was older, with gray hair and a kind, tired face. He looked at the scene. The billionaire on the floor, the 3 children in 2 big clothes, the young woman standing by their window, the broken door. "Michael?" the police officer said. "We heard the commotion. Is everything?" He stopped, taking in the full picture. "Davis," Michael said, the word a heavy sigh. He struggled to his feet. "Captain Davis!" Captain Davis stepped inside. His eyes were careful. He looked at Maya. "Ma'am, are you all right?" Maya nodded. "Yes, sir." "This is Maya Flores," Michael said. His voice was flat, drained of all emotion. "She was my wife's maid until yesterday. Evelyn fired her yesterday afternoon." He took a deep, ragged breath. "Last night, Evelyn told me the children were kidnapped. She said she saw a woman with dark hair take them near the school. She was crying. She was devastated." He said the last word like it was poison. Captain Davis listened, his face neutral. "But that is not what happened," Michael continued. He pointed to his children. "Chloe and Oliver say Evelyn took them. Their stepmother. She drove them to an alley downtown and left them there, in the storm." He bent down and picked up his phone. He showed the picture of Evelyn to Captain Davis. They both identified her. "This is the pretty mean lady who abandoned them." Captain Davis looked at the picture. He looked at the children's serious, earnest faces. He looked at Maya's small, clean apartment. He saw the pancake plates on the table. He saw the single bed and the blanket folded on the floor. He walked over to the children. He knelt down so he was not towering over them. "Hello, Chloe. I am Captain Davis. I am a friend of your dad's. Can you tell me what happened?" Chloe told him the story again. The blue ring, the smell of flowers, the promise of ice cream, the cold alley, the rain. Captain Davis turned to Oliver. "And, Oliver, is that what you remember?" "Yes, sir," Oliver said. "My chest hurt. I was scared." Captain Davis stood up. He looked at Michael. "You believe them?" "My children do not lie," Michael said. The pain in his voice was raw. "I was too busy to see it. I was too blind to see what she was. I left my children with a monster." He turned away, pressing a fist against his forehead. Captain Davis nodded slowly. He looked at Maya. "And you, Miss Flores, tell me your part." Maya told him everything, from being fired without pay, to walking in the rain, to hearing the crying. She told him about bringing them home, about the asthma attack, about the old inhaler. She did not make herself sound like a hero. She just said what she did. When she finished, Captain Davis was quiet for a long moment. He looked around the apartment again. "You did not call the police last night." "I was going to call this morning," Maya said, after they had food and rest. "Oliver was very sick. I did not want men with uniforms and bright lights to scare them more in the middle of the night. I thought, one night of peace first." Captain Davis studied her face. He saw the exhaustion. He saw the genuine care in her eyes when she looked at the children. He saw no greed, no cunning. He saw a tired woman who did a good thing. "I believe you," Captain Davis said finally. He turned to Michael. "I am sorry, Michael, but this is very serious. Your wife filed a false police report. That is a crime. Abandoning children is a very big crime. We need to go to your house. We need to talk to her." Michael nodded, his face a mask of grim acceptance. "Yes, we need to go." Captain Davis looked at Maya. "And you, Miss Flores, you need to come with us." The ride to the Sterling mansion was silent. Michael sat in the front of Captain Davis's police car, staring straight ahead. Maya sat in the back with the 3 children. Chloe held her hand tightly. Oliver leaned against her arm, his breathing even but soft. Sophie had fallen asleep, exhausted from the emotion. Maya looked out the window as they turned into the familiar neighborhood. The huge houses looked different now. They looked like empty shells. The car went up the long driveway she had walked down just yesterday. It stopped in front of the giant doors. Captain Davis turned off the engine. He looked at Michael. "Are you ready?" Michael took a deep breath. He nodded. He got out of the car and opened the back door. He helped Oliver out, then picked up the sleeping Sophie. Chloe climbed out and immediately went to Maya's side, taking her hand again. They walked to the front door. Michael did not use his key. He rang the bell. A housekeeper Maya did not know opened the door. Her eyes went wide when she saw Michael with the children, and a police captain, and Maya. "Mr. Sterling!" "Oh, thank God," the woman said. "Mrs. Sterling is in the living room. She is in a state, sir." They could hear it as they walked in, the sound of crying. It was loud, dramatic sobbing. They moved through the grand hallway, the same hallway where Evelyn had fired Maya. The doors to the main living room were open. Inside, Evelyn Sterling was sitting on a large white sofa. 2 other women sat next to her, holding her hands. They were friends of hers, dressed in expensive yoga clothes. One was patting her back. "I just don't know how I'll go on," Evelyn was saying, her voice choked with fake tears. "My babies. My sweet babies." "Evelyn." Michael's voice was not loud, but it cut through the room like a knife. Evelyn's head snapped up. Her face was perfectly made up, not a tear out of place. Her eyes were red, but it looked more like from rubbing than from real crying. When she saw Michael, a huge, trembling smile broke across her face. "Michael, you're home! Did they find—" Her words trailed off. Her eyes moved past him. She saw Captain Davis in his uniform. Her smile flickered for a second. Then her eyes landed on Maya, standing there holding Chloe's hand. Then she saw Oliver, awake and watching her. She saw Sophie asleep in Michael's arms. All the pretend sadness drained from Evelyn's face. It was replaced by pure, cold shock. Her mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. Her carefully arranged expression collapsed into blank confusion, then dawning horror. Her friends looked from Evelyn to Michael and the children. They did not understand. "Evelyn," Michael said again. He walked further into the room. His voice was quiet, but it shook with a terrible feeling. "The children are safe?" Evelyn blinked. She tried to put the mask back on. She let out a sob. "Oh, thank heaven! My darlings, come to me!" She held out her arms, but her eyes were darting around the room, looking at everyone's faces. The children did not move. Oliver hid behind Maya's legs. Chloe just stared at her stepmother, her small face hard. "They were found," Michael said, not moving. "They were not kidnapped by a stranger." "What?" Evelyn stammered. "But I told you—" "You told me a lie," Michael said. He took another step forward. "Why did you do it, Evelyn? Why did you abandon my children?" The 2 friends on the sofa looked at each other, completely confused. "Michael, what are you saying?" one of them asked. Evelyn's face went pale. She looked from Michael to Captain Davis. She saw the look on the police captain's face. It was not the look of someone comforting a victim. It was the look of someone who knew the truth. She tried one more time. "I don't know what she has told you," she cried, pointing a shaking finger at Maya. "This woman, she took them. She must have brainwashed them. She's trying to get money from you." "Stop," Michael said. The word was final. Just stop. The children told me everything, Evelyn. They identified you. Chloe and Oliver both said it was you, the pretty mean lady with the yellow hair and the blue ring. You drove them to an alley. You left them in a thunderstorm. You told them to wait for ice cream that was never coming. Evelyn stared at him. The last bit of act fell away. The tears stopped. The trembling stopped. Her face, which had been soft and sad, went very still. Then it changed. It hardened into something ugly and cold. She leaned back on the sofa. She looked at her two friends. "You should probably go now," she said, her voice flat and calm. The women stood up, gathering their purses, their faces embarrassed and shocked. They hurried out of the room without a word. When they were gone, Evelyn looked at Michael. She was not pretending anymore. "You were never supposed to find them," she said. Michael flinched, like she had hit him. "What?" "I left them in a bad part of town," Evelyn said, as if she was talking about the weather. "I thought someone else would take them, or they would get lost forever. I thought you would come home and I would be the grieving stepmother and you would finally focus on me. Only me, not them." Maya felt sick. She pulled Chloe closer. Oliver pressed his face into her side. "They are children," Michael whispered, his voice breaking. "They are my children." "They are loud, messy, annoying children," Evelyn said, standing up. She smoothed her perfect dress. "They are always in the way. You come home from work and you go straight to them. You talk about them all the time. I am your wife. I am supposed to be the most important person, but I am just the babysitter for your first wife's leftovers." Every word was a slap. Michael looked like he was seeing a stranger. "I loved you," he said, the words hollow. "You loved the idea of me," Evelyn corrected him. She walked over to a glass table and picked up her wine glass. She took a sip. "I loved your money. I loved this house. I loved being Mrs. Michael Sterling. But the package deal with 3 brats? No, thank you." "So you fired Maya," Michael said, putting the pieces together. "You set her up. You made her look like the perfect suspect. The angry fired maid." "Of course," Evelyn said with a small shrug. "It was easy. She's quiet. She needs money. No one would question it. I was going to be the heartbroken hero, and you would fire all the staff, hire new people, and we would start over. Just the two of us." She looked at Maya, and her eyes filled with real hate for the first time. "But you had to be a good person. You had to go poking in alleys. You ruined a perfect plan." Captain Davis stepped forward. "Evelyn Sterling, you are under arrest for reckless abandonment of children, filing a false police report, and conspiracy to commit fraud." He began to speak the formal words, telling her she had the right to remain silent. Evelyn did not listen. She kept her eyes on Maya. As Captain Davis took her wrists and put handcuffs on them, she didn't struggle, she just stared. When the metal clicked shut, Evelyn jerked forward against Captain Davis's hold. Her beautiful face was twisted with rage. "You ruined everything," she screamed at Maya, her voice shrill and wild. "You're just a stupid maid." Captain Davis firmly guided her toward the door. Evelyn kept screaming, her words echoing through the huge, empty house. "You will never belong here. This is my house. You hear me? You are nothing." Then she was gone. The front door closed. The house was suddenly, deeply silent. The silence was worse than the screaming. Michael stood in the middle of the room, holding his sleeping daughter, looking at the spot where his wife had just been taken away. The children were clinging to Maya, their small bodies trembling. The grand living room, with its beautiful furniture and priceless art, felt like a tomb. The silence in the living room was heavy. It was the kind of silence that felt loud. Michael Sterling stood very still. He was still holding Sophie, who slept on, unaware. He was looking at the empty space where his wife had been standing just moments before. A small sound broke the quiet. It was Oliver. He was crying softly, his face buried in Maya's sweater. The sound seemed to wake Michael up. He blinked. He looked down at his son, then at Chloe, who was holding Maya's hand so tight her knuckles were white. He saw the fear on their faces. It was not the fear of the alley or the storm. It was a new fear, the fear of the screaming, the handcuffs, the anger that had just filled their home. "Oh," Michael said softly, as if just remembering they were there. He walked slowly to the large sofa and sat down. He adjusted Sophie so she was more comfortable in his arms. He looked at Oliver and Chloe. "It's okay," he said, but his voice was hollow. She is gone now." They did not come to him. They stayed next to Maya. Maya felt a deep ache in her chest. She gently guided the two children over to the sofa. She sat down on the edge, and they sat on either side of her, still touching her. They were looking at their father, but they were not running to him. Michael saw this. He saw the distance. His face crumpled for a second, then he controlled it. He looked at Maya. "I am sorry," he said. The words were simple, but they carried the weight of everything. "I am sorry for what she did to you. I am sorry for what I said in your apartment. I accused you. I was wrong." Maya nodded slowly. She did not know what to say. "You were scared," she said finally. "I was blind," he corrected her, his voice thick. "For 2 years, I was blind." He looked at his children. "Chloe, Oliver. Was she ever mean to you before? When I was not here?" Chloe looked down at her hands. "She said we made too much noise. She said we were messy. She said we bothered Daddy when he was tired. She said we were a headache," Oliver added quietly. Michael closed his eyes. A single tear escaped and traced a path down his cheek. He did not wipe it away, and I did not see it. I did not listen. I was at work, or I was on the phone, or I was thinking about a deal. I thought a big house and nice things were enough. I thought a beautiful wife was enough." He opened his eyes and looked at Maya. "She fired you yesterday? Why?" Maya took a breath. "She said I stole a diamond bracelet. I did not. She did not let me speak. She called security. They took me out. She did not give me my last paycheck." Michael's jaw tightened. "Of course. She was setting the stage, making you look guilty." He shook his head, as if trying to clear the horrible picture. "And then last night, please, tell me what happened. From the beginning. I need to hear it." Maya looked at the children. "Maybe they should not hear it again. They should hear the true story," Michael said gently. "The true story where they are safe. They should hear about the person who helped them." So Maya began to talk. She told him about walking in the rain with only $10.75 in her pocket. She told him about the sound of crying over the storm. She described the dark alley, the 3 small shapes huddled in the doorway. She repeated Chloe's words about the pretty mean lady. She saw Michael flinch each time she mentioned Evelyn. She told him about the walk to her apartment, about her wet coat wrapped around them. She described her small, warm room. She talked about the soup, about the towels, about the old clothes they wore. Then she got to Oliver's asthma attack. She spoke softly but with detail. She told him about the sound of his struggle to breathe, the panic in his eyes in the lamplight. She described finding the old inhaler, the fear that it would not work, the long hour of holding him, coaching his breaths, rubbing his back until the tight whistle in his chest began to ease. As she spoke, Michael's face changed. The anger and guilt were still there, but something else appeared. A deep, wrenching sorrow. He looked at Oliver, imagining his small son fighting for air in a stranger's apartment. He looked at Chloe, imagining her bravery. He looked at Sophie, asleep, trusting. Maya finished with the morning, the pancakes, the decision to call the police after breakfast, the sound of the cars outside. And then you came in, she said quietly. For a long time, Michael did not speak. He just looked at his children. He reached out a hand and touched Oliver's hair. Oliver didn't pull away, but he leaned a little closer to Maya. You used your mother's medicine for my son, Michael said finally. It was all I had, Maya said. You slept on the floor. The bed was for them. You spent your last food on them. Maya just nodded. She did not say these things to be praised. She said them because they were true. Michael carefully stood up, still holding Sophie. Follow me, please. He led them out of the grand, cold living room, down a hallway, and into a smaller room. It was a family room. It had a big, soft sofa, a television, shelves full of books and toys. It felt more lived in. There were drawings on the fridge, held by magnets. He laid Sophie down on the sofa and covered her with a soft blanket that was folded over the back. This is their room, he said to Maya. This is where they play. He looked around, and his eyes were sad. I am not in here very much. He sat down on the floor, his back against the sofa. He looked so tired. Sit, please. All of you. Maya sat on the floor near him. Chloe and Oliver sat right next to her. Chloe, Michael said, you were very brave. You took care of your brother and sister. Chloe's lower lip trembled. I was scared. I know, Michael said, but you were still brave. And Oliver, you were so strong last night. That was very hard. Oliver nodded, his eyes big. And you, Michael said, looking directly at Maya. A stranger in the rain showed more love to my family than the woman in my own home. He shook his head, as if he could not understand it. You had nothing, and you gave them everything. You could have walked away. No one would have blamed you, but you did not. Maya looked at the children beside her. I could not walk away. Why? Michael asked, truly wanting to understand. Maya thought of her mother. She thought of her sisters far away. Because they were alone, and I know what it is like to feel alone. Michael studied her face. He saw the honesty there. He saw the exhaustion, the kindness, the lack of any plan or scheme. He saw the exact opposite of Evelyn. Captain Davis appeared in the doorway. Michael, a word? Michael stood up and walked to the hall with him. Maya could hear their low voices. She's being processed at the station, Captain Davis said. She has demanded a lawyer. She's not saying anything else. But the children's statements, plus Maya's account, and the timeline, it's very clear. We have enough. Good, Michael said, his voice firm now. I want to press every possible charge. We will, Captain Davis said. He paused. And the woman, Maya, she is free to go. She is not a suspect. She is a witness, a good witness. I know, Michael said. Thank you, Davis. Captain Davis left. Michael came back into the room. He sat on the floor again, facing Maya and his children. She is gone, he said to the children. She will never come back here. She will never be near you again. I promise. Chloe looked at him. Do you promise? Promise? I promise, Michael said. And she will never come back here. She will never be near you again. I promise. Chloe looked at him. Do you promise? Promise? I promise, Michael said. And for the first time, a tiny, real smile touched his lips. This is your home. You are safe. Oliver finally moved. He crawled from Maya's side over to his father. He put his small arms around Michael's neck. Michael hugged him tight. closing his eyes. Then Chloe came over too, joining the hug. Maya watched, her heart full. She started to stand up, to give them privacy. "Stay," Michael said, his voice muffled by his children's hair. "Please." So Maya stayed sitting on the floor. She watched the father hold his children. She saw the way his shoulders relaxed, just a little. She saw the way Chloe finally let herself cry. Big, safe tears into her daddy's shirt. After a while, Sophie woke up. She was confused for a moment. Then she saw her daddy and her brother and sister. She made a small sound and crawled into the middle of them. "Me. You saved me from a life I did not even know was a lie." Maya nodded, tears in her own eyes now. Michael looked at the woman who had given his children soup and comfort. "And me. You saved me from a life I did not even know was a lie." Maya nodded, tears in her own eyes now. Michael looked at the woman who had given his children soup and comfort and a safe place to breathe. He looked at his children, now safe in his arms because of her. He made a silent decision, a promise to himself. He would make this right for her. The days that followed were a blur of quiet activity. Michael Sterling did not go to his office in the tall glass building downtown. He stayed in the mansion. He called his lawyer, a serious man named Mr. Carter, and began the process to divorce Evelyn. He sat in his home office, the same room where he used to take late-night calls from Tokyo and London. Now, he was on the phone with Mr. Carter. "Yes, file the papers today," Michael said, his voice firm. "I do not want her to get anything. Use the police report. Use Captain Davis's statement. She gets nothing." He hung up the phone. He sat for a long time, just staring at the wall. The guilt was a heavy stone in his stomach. He had brought that woman into his children's home. He had not seen her true face. Kind older nanny who had come back to help. She was reading them a story. When Michael walked in, they all looked up. Chloe and Oliver smiled, but it was a careful smile. Kind older nanny who had come back to help. She was reading them a story. When Michael walked in, they all looked up. Chloe and Oliver smiled, but it was a careful smile. Sophie just watched him. "Daddy, are you working?" Chloe asked. "No," Michael said. He sat on the floor next to the sofa. "I am not working today. I thought maybe we could play a game." They played a board game. Michael let Oliver win. He helped Sophie move her piece. He listened to Chloe explain the rules twice. He was trying to be there, fully there, but his mind kept drifting back to the alley, to the rain, to Maya's small apartment floor. Where was she now? The question came to him in the middle of the game. Maya Flores. She had lost her job. She had no paycheck. She lived in a tiny apartment. She had saved his children, and then she had just walked out at watching them. They were talking about Miss Maya. "She made the pancakes in little circles," Oliver said. "She let me help stir the soup," Sophie added softly. "She has a nice voice," Chloe said. "It's calm." Michael put his coffee cup down. "Do you miss her?" he asked. All three children nodded. "Can we see her again?" Oliver asked. That was the final push Michael needed. He knew what he wanted to do. He was a man who made decisions quickly. It was how he built his company. But this decision felt different. This was not about business. This was about family. He went back to his office. He found the phone number from the police report. He dialed. The phone rang several times. He was afraid she would not answer. "Hello?" Her voice was soft, unsure. "Maya? This is Michael Sterling." There was a pause on the other end. "Mr. Sterling, is everything okay? Are the children—" "The children are fine," he said quickly. "They are good. They are talking about you. They miss you." "Oh," she said. He could hear the relief in her voice. "That is good." "I was wondering," Michael said, choosing his words carefully. Could you come to the house today, if you are able? There is something I would like to discuss with you. Another pause. Discuss with me? Yes, it is important. Would you be able to come? Yes. I can take the bus. I will be there in about an hour. I will send a car, Michael said. Please, let me send a car for you. That is not necessary, Maya said. Please, it would make me feel better. She agreed. An hour later, Michael stood by the large window in his office, looking down the driveway. A black car pulled up. Maya got out. She was wearing simple pants and a clean blouse. Her hair was in its usual braid. She looked up at the big house, and he saw a flicker of nervousness on her face. He met her at the front door himself. "Thank you for coming," he said. "Of course," Maya said. She stepped inside but stayed close to the door. "Let's go to my office. We can talk there." He led her down the hall. The house was quiet. Most of the staff had been given paid leave while things were settled. It was just him, the children, and Mrs. Lawson. They entered the office. It was a room of dark wood and large books. It was meant to impress people. Today, Michael felt it was too formal, too cold. "Please, sit," he said, pointing to a chair in front of his large desk. He did not sit behind the desk. He pulled another chair around and sat near her. He wanted this to feel like a conversation, not an interview. Maya sat down, her hands folded in her lap. She waited. "First," Michael began, "how are you?" "I am okay," Maya said. "Have you found new work?" She looked down at her hands. "I am looking. I have had a few interviews for cleaning jobs, nothing yet." Michael nodded. He had expected this. "And your apartment? Is everything all right there?" "The rent is due soon," she said simply. She did not ask for anything. She just stated a fact. Michael took a deep breath. "Maya, what you did for my children. There is no way I can ever thank you enough. You gave them safety when they had none. You showed them kindness when they were shown cruelty. You are the reason my family is still whole." Maya's cheeks turned a little pink. "I only did what anyone would do." "But not everyone would," Michael said. "Evelyn did not. I did not. You did." He leaned forward. "I have been thinking a lot. This house, it needs to change. It has been a showpiece. It needs to be a home. My children need stability. They need care. They need people they can trust." Maya listened quietly. "They trust you," Michael said. "They talk about you all the time. They feel safe with you. I have seen it." He paused, making sure she was following. "I would like to offer you a job, Maya, but not as a maid. Never as a maid again in this house." "What kind of job?" she asked, her brow furrowed. "The job of household manager," Michael said. "It means you would run the house. You would organize the schedules for the other staff, the cooks, the cleaners, the gardeners. You would make sure everything runs smoothly. But more importantly, you would be the main person for the children when I am not here. You would take them to school, help with their homework, make sure Oliver has his medicine, be there when they are sick or scared. You would be their guardian here." Maya's eyes were wide. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. "I would pay you a salary of 3 times what you were making before," Michael continued. "You would have full benefits, health insurance, and you would not live in your apartment." Now she looked completely confused. "I would not?" "No." Michael stood up. "Come with me." He led her out of the office, through a side door in the hallway, and out into the back garden. The garden was large, with trees and flowers and a stone path. He walked along the path to a small, beautiful building made of stone and wood. It looked like a tiny, perfect house. He unlocked the door and pushed it open. Inside was a small living room with a sofa and a fireplace, a little kitchenette, a bedroom with a big window looking out at the garden, a clean, bright bathroom. It was simple, but it was lovely. It was 100 times nicer than her apartment. "This is the guest house," Michael said. "It would be yours, for as long as you work here. You would have your own space, but you would be close. The children could come visit you here. You could have privacy when you need it." Maya walked slowly into the middle of the little living room. She turned in a circle, taking it all in. She touched the back of the soft sofa. She looked at the little kitchen. She saw the quiet bedroom. "This is too much," she whispered. "It is not enough," Michael said from the doorway. "It will never be enough for what you did. But it is a start. It is a good job. It is a safe place to live. And my children, they need you. I think you need them too." Maya thought of her empty apartment. She thought of the interviews for cleaning jobs where people looked right through her. She thought of the $10.75. Then she thought of Chloe's serious eyes, Oliver's smile when he won the board game, Sophie's tiny hand in hers. She thought of her sisters in Manila. With a salary 3 times larger, she could send them so much more. She could help them go to a better school. She could help her aunt who cared for them. She thought of the word guardian. It was a big word. It meant protection. It meant trust. She turned to face Michael. He was watching her, his face hopeful and anxious. "You want me to care for your children," she said. "Yes," Michael said. "I want you to be a part of this family, a part of making it a real family." Maya took a deep breath. She looked around the pretty little house. She thought of the 3 children in the big house. She thought of the kindness she had seen in Michael's eyes when he finally understood the truth. She nodded. "Yes," she said, "I accept." A smile broke across Michael's face, a real, relieved smile. "Thank you," he said. "When can you move in?" "My things are not many," Maya said. "I can come tomorrow." "Perfect," Michael said. "I will have the car ready for you." Maya moved her few belongings into the guest house the next day. It did not take long, 2 suitcases and a small box. She put her clothes in the closet. She placed the picture of her mother on the bedside table. She stood in the middle of the quiet space, listening to the birds outside in the garden. It felt like a dream, a beautiful, quiet dream. She had a good job, a safe home. She would care for 3 children who already felt like a piece of her heart. She looked out the window at the big, silent mansion. It looked less like a cold museum now and more like just a big house. But as the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the lawn, a small, quiet worry settled in her chest. It was all so perfect. Was it too perfect? Could this fairy tale ending last? Or was trouble still hiding somewhere in the big, quiet mansion? The first morning in the guest house felt strange. Maya woke up in the soft bed and for a moment did not know where she was. Then she remembered. She was not in her apartment. She was in the small house in the garden. She was the household manager for the Sterling family. She got dressed in simple, neat clothes. She walked up the stone path to the big kitchen door of the main house. She took a deep breath and went inside. The kitchen was large and bright. 3 people were already there. A cook named Maria, a younger maid named Liza, and the gardener, Carl. They were talking in low voices. They stopped when Maya walked in. Maria, a woman with kind eyes and gray hair, wiped her hands on her apron. "You must be Maya," she said. Her voice was polite but careful. "Yes. Good morning," Maya said, giving a small smile. "We heard what happened," Liza said. She was young, maybe 20. She looked at Maya with curiosity. "With the kids, and with her." Maya nodded. "It was a very bad time, but the children are safe now." "Mr. Sterling said you are the new manager," Carl said, an older man with sun-tanned skin. "He said we should listen to you." I do not want you to just listen, Maya said. She walked to the large kitchen table. I want to work with you. My job is to make this house run well, to make it a good home. I need your help to do that. The three staff members looked at each other. They were used to Evelyn's sharp orders and criticism. What do you want us to do? Maria asked. First, I want to know what you already do, Maya said. What is the schedule? What works? What does not work? For the next hour, they talked. Maya listened. She learned that Evelyn had changed the cleaning schedule 3 times in 1 month. She learned that the children's meal times were often late because Evelyn wanted her own dinner served first. She learned that the staff felt nervous and unhappy. From now on, Maya said, we will have one schedule. We will post it here in the kitchen. The children's needs come first. Their meals, their laundry, their schedules. The rest of the house comes after. Is that okay? Maria smiled for the first time. That sounds very good. And, Maya added, if you have a problem, you come to me. We will fix it together. No shouting, no blaming. Liza's shoulders relaxed. Okay, that sounds better. After the meeting, Maya looked at the clock. It was time to pick up the children from school. Michael had given her the keys to a simple, safe car. She drove to the small private school. Her hands were a little sweaty on the wheel. She waited in the line of cars. She saw Chloe first. The little girl was walking out with her class, her backpack almost as big as she was. Chloe looked around, her face serious. Then she saw Maya in the car. Her whole face lit up. She waved wildly. Maya's heart swelled. She waved back. Chloe ran to the car, pulling Oliver and Sophie behind her. Miss Maya, you came! I told you I would, Maya said, smiling. She helped them all into the back seat, checking their seatbelts. Is this our car now? Oliver asked. It is the car we will use for school, Maya said. How was your day? The drive home was full of chatter. Chloe talked about her math lesson. Oliver talked about painting a picture of a frog. Sophie said she sang a song. Maya listened to every word. At home, Maya helped them with their backpacks. She set out a snack of apple slices and cheese in the family room. Homework first, she said. Then you can play. Chloe had a reading book. She sat next to Maya on the sofa. Can you listen to me read? Of course, Maya said. Chloe read slowly, sounding out the big words. Maya helped her, patient and encouraging. Oliver had a worksheet with numbers. Maya sat with him at the small table and helped him count. Sophie drew pictures next to them. Later, Oliver needed his asthma medicine. Maya had already placed his new inhaler in a special spot in the kitchen. She helped him use it, just like the nurse had shown her. Slow breath in. Good. When it was time for bed, Sophie had a nightmare. Maya heard her crying from the children's room. She went in and sat on the edge of the bed. Sophie was sitting up, her face wet with tears. I dreamed about the rain, Sophie whispered. And the mean lady was there. Maya gathered the little girl into her arms. Shh, the rain cannot get you here. The mean lady is very far away. You are safe in your bed. I am right here. She rocked Sophie until her crying stopped, and her breathing became slow and even. Maya stayed until she was sure the little girl was deeply asleep. One evening, Maya and the children were in the kitchen. Flour was everywhere. They were trying to make cookies. The recipe was a mess. Chloe was stirring too hard. Oliver was cracking eggs and getting shell in the bowl. Sophie was covered in flour. The back door opened. Michael walked in. He was home early. He stopped and stared at the scene. Maya looked up, her own cheek smudged with flour. Oh, hello. We are making cookies. Michael did not say anything. He looked at his children. Chloe was grinning. Oliver was proudly holding an empty eggshell. Sophie was making a flower angel on the floor. Then Michael did something Maya had never seen. He laughed. A real deep laugh. He took off his suit jacket and hung it on a chair. He rolled up the sleeves of his white shirt. "It looks like you need help," he said. "I am very good at making messes." He joined them. He helped Chloe stir. He showed Oliver how to crack an egg on the side of the bowl. He picked up Sophie and let her pour in the chocolate chips. Flour got on his expensive shirt. He did not care. The cookies that came out of the oven were a little flat, and some were burnt on the edges. They were the best cookies anyone had ever eaten. That night, for the first time, they did not have a formal dinner in the dining room. They ate pizza in the kitchen. They sat around the big kitchen table. The children talked over each other, telling their father about school, about the cookies, about a bug Oliver found. Michael listened. He asked questions. He was not looking at his phone. After the children were in bed, Maya was cleaning the kitchen. Michael came back downstairs. He picked up a towel and started to dry the dishes she had washed. "You do not have to do that," Maya said. "I want to," Michael said. He dried a plate slowly. This was a good night. The house felt alive. "They are good children," Maya said. "They just need to be heard." Michael nodded. He put the dry plate away. "Chloe told me you helped her read. She said you are very patient. She is a smart girl. She just needs confidence." They worked in quiet for a minute. Then Michael said, "You talk about your mother sometimes, to the children. What was she like?" Maya paused, her hands in the soapy water. "She was kind, like Chloe. She worked very hard. She cleaned offices at night. She came to this country so I could have a better life. She got sick 2 years ago. The doctors could not help her." "I am sorry," Michael said softly. "Thank you. I send money to my sisters in Manila. That was her wish, to take care of them." Michael dried another plate. "My first wife, Sarah, she was the children's mother. She was kind, too. She was always laughing. She wanted a big, noisy family. She got sick very fast. Cancer. I was building the company. I was traveling. I thought I had more time." He stopped, his voice tight. "I did not have more time. I was in Shanghai when she died. The children were with a nanny." Maya did not know what to say. She just listened. "I thought if I made more money, built a bigger company, gave them a bigger house, it would make up for losing her," Michael said. He looked around the huge, quiet kitchen. It did not. It just made everything empty. "And then I married Evelyn because she was beautiful, and she fit the picture of what I thought I should have. I did not see that she hated the most important part of my life." He looked at Maya. "You saw it right away. You saw they needed care, not just things." "Anyone would have seen it," Maya said. "But no one did," Michael said. "Only you." He finished drying the last dish. He put the towel down. "Thank you, Maya, for today, for everything." "You are welcome," she said. He left the kitchen and went upstairs. Maya finished cleaning. She turned off the lights and walked back to her little house in the garden. The night was quiet. The big mansion was dark, except for a light in one upstairs window, Michael's office. She thought about what he said about his first wife. She thought about his loneliness. She thought about the way he laughed with flour on his shirt. In his office, Michael was not working. He was standing at the window, looking down at the path to the guest house. He had watched Maya walk home. He thought about the warmth in the kitchen tonight, the noise, the mess, the way Maya listened to his children, the way she listened to him. He felt a warmth in his chest, a feeling he had not felt since Sarah was alive. It was a good feeling, a happy feeling, but it also scared him. It scared him more than any business deal, more than any risky investment, because this was not a deal. This was his heart, and his heart had been very wrong before. The peaceful rhythm of the big house continued for several weeks. Then, one Tuesday afternoon, the phone rang in Michael's office. He was helping Chloe with a science project, gluing planets to a poster board. He answered without looking. "Michael Sterling." "Hello, Michael." The voice on the other end was smooth, familiar, and cold. It was Evelyn. Michael's entire body went rigid. He stood up and walked away from the children. "You are not allowed to call here. Your lawyer should be the only one contacting me." "I just wanted to talk," Evelyn said. She sounded different. Not angry, but calculating. "I am out on bail, as you know. It is very expensive. My legal fees are enormous. I thought, since we were married, you might want to help." "Help?" Michael said, his voice low and dangerous. "You want money from me? After what you did?" "It would be a gesture of goodwill," Evelyn said. "A settlement, to make this all go away quietly. It would be better for the children, don't you think? To not have a long, ugly court case?" Michael felt a hot rage rise in his chest. "There is no amount of money in the world that would make me help you. You tried to destroy my family. You will face the consequences. Do not call this number again." He hung up the phone. His hands were shaking. "Daddy?" Chloe asked from the table. "Who was that?" Michael took a deep breath, forcing his face to relax. "No one important, sweetheart. A wrong number." But it was not a wrong number, and Evelyn was not done. 2 days later, Evelyn sat in a dark corner of a cafe in Midtown Atlanta. She wore large sunglasses. Across from her sat a man with a thin face and quick eyes. His name was Leo. He wrote for a popular tabloid newspaper called Asterisk, the Atlanta Spotlight Asterisk. "So, Mrs. Sterling, you have a story for me?" Leo asked, his voice eager. "I do," Evelyn said, stirring her coffee slowly. "It is about my husband and the woman who is living in my house." Leo's eyes lit up. He took out a small recorder. "Go on." Evelyn spun her tale. She said Maya Flores was a clever con artist. She said Maya had planned the whole abandonment event. She said Maya wanted to get close to a billionaire. She said Maya had manipulated the children against their loving stepmother. "She is a master manipulator," Evelyn said, a fake tear slipping from under her sunglasses. "She saw a wealthy, vulnerable man, and she saw her chance. She took my family from me, and now she is living in my guest house, poisoning my husband against me, all to get her hands on his money." Leo wrote fast. "And the children? She uses them?" "Of course," Evelyn said. "They are her tools. She pretends to be so kind and gentle. But it is all an act. She is a gold digger. A very good one." The next morning, Maya went to the grocery store. She was buying food for the children's lunches. As she stood in the checkout line, she saw the newspaper rack. The headline of Asterisk, the Atlanta Spotlight Asterisk, was in big black letters. "Maid Mastermind Kidnaps Billionaire's Heart." Below the headline was a photo. It was a grainy, old photo of Maya from her maid uniform, leaving the Sterling mansion months ago. Next to it was a beautiful, smiling photo of Evelyn. Maya's blood ran cold. She picked up the paper with trembling hands. She read the first few lines. Words jumped out at her. Plot. Scheme. Gold digger. Con artist. Her own name, over and over. The woman behind her in line peeked over her shoulder. She gasped. She looked at Maya's face, then back at the paper. Her friendly expression turned into a look of disgust. She took a step back. Maya put the paper down. She left her full shopping cart in the line. She walked out of the store, her face burning. She got into the car and sat there, trying to breathe. When she got home, she went straight to the guest house. She did not want the children to see her upset. But it was too late. The school bus dropped off Chloe, Oliver, and Sophie. They usually ran into the house, laughing. Today they walked slowly. Their heads were down. Maya met them at the kitchen door. "What is wrong?" Chloe's eyes were red from crying. "Some of the kids at school. They were saying things." Oliver kicked the toe of his shoe against the floor. "Billy said our nanny is a criminal. He said his mom read it in the paper." Sophie just hugged Maya's legs and cried. Michael came home an hour later. He threw his briefcase on the floor with a loud bang. He was holding the same tabloid newspaper. His face was white with fury. "Have you seen this?" he asked Maya, his voice tight. Maya nodded, her throat too tight to speak. "I will destroy them," Michael said, more to himself than to her. "I will sue that paper into the ground." He looked at his children, saw their sad faces. His anger deepened. "What did they say to you?" Chloe told him. Michael listened, his jaw clenched so hard a muscle ticked in his cheek. "They are lies," he said firmly, kneeling in front of them. "Every word in that paper is a lie. Miss Maya is our hero. She is our family. The woman who wrote those lies is the one who hurt you. Do you understand?" The children nodded, but they still looked wounded. That night, after the children were in bed, Michael called an emergency meeting with his public relations team on a video call. Maya sat in the corner of his office, listening. "We need to respond," said a woman named Susan from the PR team. "This story is spreading online. We need to control the narrative." "I do not want to just control it," Michael said. "I want to crush it. I want the truth out there, the whole truth." "Then we recommend a press conference," Susan said. "You go public. You tell your story. You have the police report. You have the facts. You show them who Maya really is." Michael looked at Maya. "Are you willing to do that? To stand in front of cameras and tell your story? It will be hard. They will ask rude questions." Maya was terrified. The thought of a crowd of reporters made her feel sick. But she thought of the children's sad faces. She thought of the woman in the grocery store. She thought of Evelyn, trying to hurt them all from afar. "If it will stop the lies," Maya said quietly, "then I will do it." "Good," Michael said. He turned back to the screen. "Set it up for tomorrow at the City Press Club. Keep it small, but make sure all the major outlets are there." The next day, Maya put on a simple blue dress. She tried to eat breakfast but could not. The children were staying home from school. Michael had explained there would be people with cameras and that he and Miss Maya were going to tell the truth to the world. "Will the people be nice?" Sophie asked. "Some will be, some will not," Michael said honestly. "But we will tell the truth. That is all that matters." Before they left, Maya knelt in front of the children. "No matter what you hear, you know the truth, right? You know what happened that night in the rain." Chloe nodded. "You found us. You were kind." "Yes," Maya said, hugging them each tightly. "That is the only story that matters." In the car on the way to the press club, Maya's hands would not stop shaking. Michael looked at her. "You do not have to speak if you do not want to. I can do all the talking." "No," Maya said, taking a deep breath. "I need to speak for myself, for them." They arrived at a tall building. Susan from the PR team met them at a back entrance. She led them to a small, quiet room behind a large stage. They could hear the muffled sound of many voices talking on the other side of the curtain. Captain Davis was there too, in his full police uniform. He nodded to Maya. "Ready to set the record straight?" Maya tried to smile, but it felt weak. Susan peeked through the curtain. "Okay, the room is full. Are you ready?" Michael looked at Maya. She gave a small nod. "We are ready," Michael said. Susan opened the curtain just a crack for them to step through. The noise from the room hit them like a wall, the clicking of cameras, the murmur of reporters, the bright, hot lights. Standing behind the heavy curtain, listening to the crowd, Maya closed her eyes for a second. She wondered if the truth would be enough to silence the lies. The heavy curtain opened. The bright lights made Maya blink. Michael Sterling stepped forward first, his posture straight and serious. He walked to the podium where many microphones were waiting. Maya followed him, with Captain Davis beside her. She stood a little behind Michael, her hands clasped tightly in front of her blue dress. The clicking of cameras was like a storm of loud insects. Michael adjusted the microphone. He did not smile. He looked out at the sea of reporters. The room grew quiet. "Thank you for coming," Michael began. His voice was clear and strong. It did not shake. "My name is Michael Sterling. I am here today to tell you the truth. A newspaper printed lies about my family yesterday. I am here to correct those lies." He paused, looking down for a moment. "First, I want to talk about my own failure. I failed as a father. I was so busy building a company, providing a big house, a certain life, that I did not see what was happening in my own home. I married a woman named Evelyn. She was beautiful and charming. I did not see that she resented my 3 children. I did not see her cruelty. That is my fault, my shame." A low murmur went through the crowd. This was not what they expected. A billionaire admitting he was wrong. "My wife Evelyn fired our maid, Maya Flores, with a false accusation," Michael continued. "Then, on that same day, she took my 3 young children from their school. She drove them to a dark alley in downtown Atlanta. She abandoned them there, in the middle of a thunderstorm. She left them alone, cold and terrified." He had to stop. The memory was too fresh. He took a sip of water. "She came home and told me a story. She said a stranger had kidnapped them. She was crying. I believed her. The police believed her. We searched all night." He pointed to Captain Davis. "Captain Davis of the Atlanta Police Department led that search. He is here to confirm what I am saying." Michael's voice grew stronger, but the stranger did not take them. "My children were found by the woman my wife had fired, Maya Flores. She was walking to a bus stop with no money, no job, after being unfairly accused. She heard my children crying in that alley. She could have walked away. She had every reason to walk away. But she did not." He turned and looked at Maya. His expression was full of respect. She brought them to her small, clean apartment. She dried them off. She fed them her last can of soup. She gave them her bed and slept on the floor. That night, my son Oliver had a severe asthma attack. Maya stayed up all night, using an old inhaler that belonged to her late mother, to help him breathe. She saved his life. He faced the reporters again. "When I found them at her apartment the next morning, I accused her. I thought she had taken them. I was wrong. My own children told me the truth. They identified their stepmother, Evelyn, as the person who left them. The police have arrested Evelyn Sterling. She is charged with child abandonment and filing a false report. That is the fact." He leaned into the microphones. "The story in the newspaper is a lie. It was created by Evelyn to hurt an innocent woman and to confuse the public. Maya Flores is not a gold digger. She is a guardian angel. She is the reason my children are home and safe." He picked up a folder from the podium. "My lawyers have already filed a lawsuit against the Atlanta Spotlight for defamation. We will not allow these lies to stand." He stepped back. "Now, Captain Davis will speak to the legal facts. Then Maya Flores will tell you her story. She does not have to be here, but she wants you to hear the truth from her." Michael moved to stand next to Maya. He gave her a small, encouraging nod. Captain Davis stepped to the podium. He was an older man with a calm, authoritative presence. The cameras clicked furiously. "I am Captain Robert Davis. I have been with the Atlanta Police for 25 years. I was the officer in charge the night the Sterling children were reported missing. I can confirm every word Mr. Sterling has said. Evelyn Sterling is under arrest. The evidence is clear. The children's testimony is clear. Maya Flores's actions were the actions of a good Samaritan. In my career, I have seen true evil. I have also seen true goodness. What Miss Flores did that night was true goodness. She is a hero. Any suggestion otherwise is a falsehood, and it insults the work of my department and the dignity of this family. He stepped back. All the cameras and all the faces turned to Maya. She felt her knees tremble. Michael whispered, "Just look at me. Tell it to me." Maya stepped forward to the podium. She was much shorter, so she had to adjust the microphone down. The lights were so hot. She could see the reporter's eager eyes. "My name is Maya Flores," she said. Her voice was soft at first. She cleared her throat. "I came to this country from the Philippines with my mother. She passed away 2 years ago. I worked to support my 2 younger sisters in Manila. She was not giving a speech, she was just talking. Last Tuesday, I was fired from my job as a maid in the Sterling house. I did not steal anything. I was upset. I had very little money. I was walking to the bus stop in the heavy rain. I heard crying." She described it simply. The dark alley, the 3 small wet shapes, the words, "pretty mean lady," her decision to bring them home. "I only had 1 bed. They slept in it. I slept on the floor. Oliver got sick. I was very scared. I used my mother's old medicine. I stayed awake to listen to his breathing. In the morning, I made pancakes because I wanted them to have one warm and happy meal before I called the police." She looked away from Michael and out at the reporters. Her voice grew stronger. "I did not plan any of this. I did not want any of this. I saw 3 children who were alone and scared. I thought of my sisters far away. I could not leave them. That is all. I am not a hero. I am just a person. I think any person should do the same." A reporter in the front row shouted a question. "Miss Flores, is it true you are in love with Michael Sterling? Is that why you did this?" The room got quiet. Maya looked at the reporter. She shook her head. "I love his children," she said plainly. "Chloe, Oliver, and Sophie. They are kind and brave. I care for them. That is my job now. That is my choice." Another reporter called out, "Do you think you belong in that mansion?" Maya thought for a second. "I belong where I am needed. The children need someone to make them feel safe. I can do that. I do not care about the mansion. I care about the people inside it." Michael stepped forward again, placing a hand lightly on her shoulder to signal the end. "Thank you, Maya. That is all we have to say. The truth is now public. Thank you all for your time." He guided Maya away from the podium, with Captain Davis following. They walked back through the curtain as the reporters shouted more questions. Back in the quiet room, Maya let out a long, shaky breath. Her whole body was trembling. "You were perfect," Captain Davis said, smiling. "Honest and clear. No one can doubt you now." Susan from the PR team rushed in, looking at her phone. "The headlines are already changing online. Billionaire confirms wife's arrest, praises maid as hero. Police captain debunks tabloid lies. The story is flipping. The public is on your side." Michael was looking at Maya. "Are you all right?" Maya nodded. "It is over?" "The public storm is over," Michael said. "The lies are over." They drove home in silence. But it was a comfortable silence. The weight was gone. When they walked into the house, the children ran to them. "We watched you on TV," Chloe said. "You told the truth, Daddy." "Miss Maya, you were on TV?" Oliver said, amazed. Sophie hugged Maya's legs. "You said you love us." Maya picked up the little girl. "I do, very much." That night, Michael sat in his office. He watched the news coverage on his computer. Every channel was running the story with the new true narrative. Maya's calm face filled the screen. I saw 3 children who were alone and scared. I could not leave them. He replayed it. He listened to her simple words. He thought about her courage, not just in the alley, but in standing before the whole world. He thought about the reporter's question, "Are you in love with Michael Sterling?" Her answer had been about the children. It was the right answer. The honest answer. But as he sat there in the quiet, Michael realized he wished her answer had been different. The feeling scared him, but it was there. A warmth. A hope. He looked out the window toward the guest house. A light was on. She was awake. Down in the guest house, Maya was also watching the news on her small laptop. She saw Michael speaking, his face full of guilt and gratitude. She saw herself, looking small but determined. She thought about his hand on her shoulder. A simple touch, but it had felt strong and sure. She thought about the way he looked at her after, asking if she was all right. The storm of lies was over. But a new, quieter feeling was growing between them, one they were both too careful to name. Several months passed. The story from the press conference faded from the news. Life found a new, gentle rhythm. One morning, Michael called Maya and the children into his office. He turned on the television. A news reporter was standing outside a courthouse. Evelyn Sterling was sentenced today to a significant term in state prison for reckless abandonment of a child, filing a false report, and conspiracy to commit fraud. The judge cited the calculated cruelty of her actions. A video clip played showing Evelyn, dressed in a plain gray jumpsuit, being led by 2 officers through a metal door. She did not look at the camera. The door closed behind her with a solid, final sound. Michael turned off the TV. The room was quiet. "She is gone," he said to his children. "She cannot hurt anyone ever again." Chloe let out a small sigh, as if she had been holding her breath for a very long time. Oliver just nodded. Sophie climbed into Maya's lap. Later that week, a large envelope arrived in the mail. Michael opened it at the kitchen table. It was the final divorce decree. He was no longer married to Evelyn. He was free. He showed the paper to Maya. "It is official," he said. "How do you feel?" Maya asked. Michael thought about it. "Relieved," he said, "and sad. Sad that I made such a big mistake. But mostly relieved that it is over, and we can move forward." And they did move forward. The big mansion was no longer just a showcase. It became a home. The children's artwork, once confined to the fridge in the family room, now hung in frames in the hallway. Maya's small collection of family photos from the Philippines sat on the mantel next to pictures of the children. Then, one bright Saturday, Maya's sisters arrived. Maria was 16. Lily was 14. They flew from Manila to Atlanta. Maya and Michael and the 3 children went to the airport to meet them. When Maria and Lily walked out of the security gates, Maya started crying. She ran to them and hugged them both at once. They were talking fast in Tagalog, then in English, laughing and crying. "These are my sisters," Maya said, wiping her eyes, introducing them to Michael and the children. "Welcome to your home," Michael said simply. Maria and Lily stayed for 3 weeks. The big house was filled with new sounds, teenage laughter, pop music from a phone, the mix of Tagalog and English. They helped Maya in the kitchen, teaching the children how to make a Filipino dessert. They played games in the garden. Oliver followed Lily everywhere, asking her questions about airplanes. For Maya's birthday, they had a party in the backyard. All the staff, Maria the cook, Liza, Carl were there. Captain Davis came with his wife. They ate food from the grill. There was a big cake. Sophie helped Maya blow out the candles. Michael watched it all. He watched Maya laugh with her sisters. He watched his children run on the grass with Carl the gardener chasing them. He saw Maya send a large box of gifts and money back to the Philippines with her sisters when they left. "Thank you for bringing them here," Maya told him. "It was the best gift." One Saturday, Michael decided to teach Maya how to ride a bike. She had never learned as a child. He found an old bicycle in the garage. The children cheered from the sidelines as Michael held the back of the seat, running alongside her as she wobbled down the long driveway. "I have it! I have it!" Maya shouted, laughing as she pedaled on her own for a few feet, before gently tipping over onto the soft grass. "You did it!" Chloe yelled. Oliver jumped up and down. "Do it again, Miss Maya!" That night, after the children were asleep, Michael found Maya sitting on the small porch of her guest house. She was looking up at the stars. He sat down in the chair next to hers. "Quiet night," he said. "Yes," Maya said, "a good quiet." They sat in silence for a while. The only sound was the crickets in the garden. "Maya," Michael said, his voice soft but serious, "I need to thank you again." "You have thanked me many times," she said, smiling. "Not enough," he said. He turned to look at her. In the dim light from the porch lamp, her face was calm. "You have not just saved my children. You have saved me. You showed me what is important. You showed me what a home should feel like. Because of you, I am a father now. A real father. I am not just the man who pays for things." Maya listened, her heart beating a little faster. "This family," Michael said, gesturing toward the big house. "It exists because of you. It is strong because of you. The children are happy because of you." He paused, choosing his next words carefully. "This is your home now. You know that, right? The guest house, your job, that is just paperwork. But this is your home. With us." "I know," Maya whispered. "It feels like home." Michael took a deep breath. "I need to ask you something, and you can say no. It will not change your job. It will not change anything. But I need to ask." "What is it?" Maya asked. "Do you think you could stay?" Michael asked. His eyes were earnest. "Not as an employee, not as the household manager, but as part of this family. For always. Do you think you could see this as your permanent home?" Maya looked at him. She looked at the big house where 3 children she loved were sleeping. She looked at the garden where she had learned to ride a bike. She looked at the man sitting beside her who had learned to be a father, who saw her not as a maid but as the most important person in his world. She did not need to think about her answer. It was already in her heart. "Michael," she said, her voice full of warmth, "I am already home." He reached out and took her hand. She did not pull away. They sat like that for a long time, holding hands under the stars, not as employer and employee, but as 2 people who had found each other after a storm. The next day was Sunday. The weather was perfect. Warm Georgia sun, a clear blue sky. Michael and Maya packed a picnic basket. They spread a big checkered blanket on the lawn behind the house. The children helped carry the plates and cups. They ate sandwiches and fruit. Chloe told a silly joke that made Oliver laugh so hard he fell over. Sophie tried to do a cartwheel and landed in Maya's lap. Michael watched them all. He watched Maya brush grass from Sophie's hair. He watched her listen to Oliver's long story about a bug. He watched her help Chloe fix her ponytail. He looked at their faces, all together on the blanket. He saw a family, a real, messy, loud, happy family. It was not a family made from blood or from a marriage certificate. It was a family made from choice. It was made from kindness. It was made because one person did not walk away from crying in the rain. Under the warm sun, their laughter mixed together. Michael's deep chuckle, Maya's gentle laugh, The children's high, joyful squeals. It was the sound of a new beginning. It was the sound of a heart that had been broken, now healed and full. It was the proof that a family is built not by money or by chance, but by the people who choose to stay, who choose to love, who find each other in the storm and decide to build a shelter together forever.